So Elsinore, this is a 62, 63 or something. That was a big deal moving to California because I had to do it twice. I come out here and got it semi-established work-wise, and checked out a few drop zones while I was out here. I just happened to bring my parachutes with me because I made a great big old trailer that I could haul. And at that time, in the early 60s now, it was normal to own 3, 4, 5 rigs. And I did, because you could go to the drop zone and jump your butt off and not have to be bothered with packing. And then Elsinore, which I loved then and now, had lockers in the bottom of the packing tables that you could rent for, I'm guessing, $5 a month or something. You put a whole bunch of rigs in there. And then any rigs that you have to work on at home during the week, you take back with you. But I'm driving a Harley at the time because life is just too good in California. And of course I'm from the Milwaukee area, so I had to have a Milwaukee vibrator, right? But I'm living a good life and raising my family and just having everything was like friggin' perfect, and nothing's better in the whole world to go out to the drop zone on your Harley, whether it's running perfect or not, make a couple jumps, and believe you me, on the way home that Harleys never sounded so great or felt so good. But so anyway, I was hooked on a part-time basis, and there's no envy here, but several of my friends, including my friends today, Vietnam vets became real hardcore jumpers and was 7 days a week and got on all the big teams and the best teams and so on and so forth. And I remained a part-time fun jumper and got the best of it all. And Elsinore was so alive in the world of sport parachuting. I just ate it up big time. Of course, it's so easy to make friends because the birds do flock together, you know. So then through the years, I'm always had a man cave of this sort, and eat, sleep, and drink. My hobby is sport. Skydiving was one of my hobbies, but I guess I influenced my kids a little bit by photographs, and we had a den, a pool room, and that sort of thing. And my kids got senior in high school, and Dad, I'm going out to the drop zone, make a jump. I go, no, you're not. I mean, over my dead body. I never really supported that idea. I didn't want my kids to be skydive bums, but they're gonna. So no, we're going, Dad. I go, well, okay, not without me or not. And by this time, I had crashed and burned in '73, and lost a leg and a hip, and so on and so forth. So I wasn't doing much jumping, right? But I'm thinking about it all the time, don't you know? And I just in my mind didn't conceive I was going to quit. So I go out and scrutinize my oldest son making a skydive, and of course now I'm like a mother hen, nervous as can be, right? And it was just great, and I got re-hooked up, and I'm walking with 2 canes because I'm not totally rehabbed properly. And then I'm hooked up with some of my old skydiving buddies again, and I'm going, oh geez. So I started to devise ways that I could jump walking with a cane. That's pretty lame, right? But and it was my rehab is getting my butt back in gear. And here comes another jump story, right? I had this old buddy, hardcore jumper that I was envious of. He was able to live in the ghetto and skydive his butt off, do instructor things. His nickname was Dirty Ed. And he's going like, well, how come you're not jumping? I go, well, I am, as soon as I get my act together. So I went out and bought some new parachutes, some new gear, and so on and so forth. I bought a Stratastar, which was a mistake. I had no training, and I ended up cutting the thing away because I didn't understand that it could make that much noise and everything. But and I had just barely graduated to PCs because I had so many cheapo rigs that just I was going to jump, wear the cheapos out for as long as it takes. But anyway, I come back, make a re-entry dive, they call it, and as luck would have it, they go, well, hey, Mr. Dirty, go with him and make sure that he's okay, because I'm already, but this time I'm old and walk funny, so on and so forth. So here we are in free fall, and I'm looking at him, and I'm going like, leave me alone. I'm checking out my new body parts here, right? And he's going, yeah, right. He comes up to me sideways and just gives me a shove, throw me out of control. I'm going like, no, what the devil was that? And that would really tick me off because I'm concentrating on free falling accurately like I used to with new parts. I'm going, what the hell was that, Dirty Ed? I just wanted to see if you're okay. And that was the punchline. I said, yeah, he's all right. He hasn't changed. You know what I mean? But for years and years and years, we told that story differently. Right? He had his version, I had my version. But he was always hardcore buddy, and he was always there to jump with. He made several re-entry drives that I was able to videotape and harass him. But he was a hardcore, great buddy, true and blue, and everybody who knew him would say that he was a friend like no other. But so anyway, my son was a student, typical, and I have to give my boys credit, they stayed in school, so they're always poor boys, but infrequent jumps, but then they got hooked. And this is 78 or something. I got 4 first jump certificates right there behind the door. One by one, my boys come like, I'm going to try this out. And in 78, there was streaking was going on. And of course, there's a bar, and I forget the name of it, the Melody or whatever it was in Elsinore. And I allowed my kids to have a beer or two at 18. And they got hooked on sport parachuting big time. I mean, they just, it's like they're going to mainline, right? But, and I'm going, this is not good. But then, luck would have it, I had the good fortune, eventually I was making skydives with 4 of my boys. And fast forwarding, here we are in 2017, I got 4 boys with Pops numbers, members of Pops. But my daughters, I was able to scare them away. One of them goes, Dad, I think I want to make a skydive. And once again, I got the highest regard and highest opinion of sport parachuting. But then there's my daughter, and I've always kept my kids away from the influence of us dirty bastards, because that ain't what life's about, right? I go, no, you ain't going skydiving. She goes, oh, okay. I go, wonderful, you know. And she grew up to be a great family lady and so on and so forth. But that I have no indictment of my favorite sport, but I really, and I have a high regard for women, men, whoever. My favorite people in the whole world are people who jump out of airplanes, which remains. And I figured out that form. I've been out of the sport for 10 years. And it's got to do with multiple injuries that I've sustained, always on the way home from skydiving, not skydiving. It's funny how that works. I've been taken down by drunk drivers, and I've always tried to have a Harley in my life, and there's always some little old lady and some little old 19-year-old drunk in a pickup truck that's fickle finger of fate don't want me to, to be a free spirit. So I've crashed and burned a time or two, and I've broken my bad leg a time or two in such accidents, which is da-da-da-da. I got 4 hip operations now, two or three new femurs through the years, which just comes with the territory. And I'm spent a lot of time in rehab. Now, I'm not going to brag, but the rehab gets harder and harder through the years. And I had a minor 8-way heart bypass. I rehab that. I'm in my, I think last rehab, I've had a aorta blood vessel break in my stomach, and I've been rehabbing for the last year, trying to get over that and get. I'm still connected to sport parachuting, sport parachuting people. I can't resist going to reunions, old farts things, and heaven forbid a few memorials. My wall has got a lot of jump buddies that we've lost. That just breaks my heart. And, I'm connected to sport parachuting best the way that I know how. And, I have to think this over. Been fortunate to do a few demos, half a dozen or so in California. Never the pace that we set in Wisconsin. Is a different world, and the sport is different. It is. I repeat, here we are, 2017. I am now digressed into being a dinosaur, and no question about it. I mean, I'm watching the 18, 20-year-old kids reinvent the sport, and I'm thinking that's wonderful. That's me when I was 22 doing wild and crazy stuff. But I'm a grandpa. No, I'm a great grandpa. Got twice, two times over, and I act like it, and I sound like a grandpa. Like I watch these kids land several times. I'm going like, wow. Are you okay? Oh yeah, that's normal. I always land 2-3 times and get dirty as all get out, and I go, damn, the sport has not changed, and the people are the same. They're going for the gusto, and in my next life I'm going to stay at 22 years old. I'm not going to become a grandpa, but I'm at a wonderful time in my life. I do enjoy my family and my great grandkids and all that sort of thing, but I'm going to keep them away from the drop zone. But so I made maybe 1,000 jumps with my second oldest son. He stayed in the sport more than my other boys, but for whatever reason. And then he got addicted with the Harley Davidson thing too. Life is good. But, here I am, and retired, hiding out in Utah. Life is good, and I got tons of memories, and like people, waffles, non-jumping people come in here and going like, what the heck? I got a jump story for every one of these photos and a few more. But it's like I say, it's one of my hobbies. I was addicted with a gearhead, hot rodder interest. I can't get away from that. But life is good in Cedar City. And I'm 4 or 5 hours away from a drop zone, which is good or which is bad. But I don't know. Do we jump stories? I think my jump stories resemble or sound like everybody else's. I picked up a term many years ago that we have way more fun than people. And there's no question about that. And people go like, what does that mean? I mean, yeah, my opinion, this old skydiver, and most skydivers I know are arrogant, self-centered, and conceited, that they discovered something that nobody else knows or can comprehend. And so many of my friends, even after so many years, get this misconception that I'm going to talk everybody in the world into jumping out of airplanes, which is an impossibility. People just cannot conceive that. I got a dear old buddy that I talk to way too regular. His thing after 25, 30 years in a sport, he'll go into a bar, sit down and have a beer and go, "You're probably wondering why I'm a skydiver, right?" And then the person will go, "Well, not really." Then he proceeds to tell a whole bunch of jump stories and try to convince this person that they should be jumping out of airplanes too. And it's my personal opinion that it does not work. You cannot talk your average person on the street that they should jump out of an airplane, and that's just fine. You know, there's 30 plus active skydivers, 30,000 active skydivers in the sport. His growth is not that great compared to what it used to be, and you can lay that at the doorstep of several things, one of them being this tandem thing, which is a wonderful program, but I fault the retention of students. You come up like go to state fair, ride the Ferris wheel, get a certificate that you did it, and go home. And with the video, and still, I have a lot of waffle friends that have done that. They're so proud of their videos and proud of their stills. They just tell all their friends and relatives, insist that they show the video because the greatest experience in their life. But they don't come back for another jump, and so on, or rarely come back. And that's another story, such as that is. The sport is inclusive and somewhat private and special to skydivers. I'm looking at this skydiver. He's hardcore. I think he eats, sleeps, and drinks skydiving, and then he also works at a normal job. I mean, that's this life, you know. I'm envious to a degree of the many friends I have who have made a business in the sport. And I got a friend by the name of Jim. He's in excess of 23,000 jumps. A little bit of a gypsy. He has school around the country. He changes semi-often, but he's the best in the world. He's got the greatest personality in the world as an instructor and goodwill ambassador. And I'm so proud to know so many distinguished skydivers who are goodwill ambassadors, and some that signed up for the public service, if you will, the government of our United States Parachuters Association, which I'm extremely proud of. And, dedicated folks. Every opportunity I've ever had, I vote often and early for my friends that are doing a great job, you know, and you know who you are. Then years go by, and the sport eventually, the members recognize them and respect and honor them. Pat Moorhead, case in point, and so many of our friends who left us because of cancer, old age, and whatever. That's one of the disadvantages of being an old grandpa and that sort of thing, is you do lose a lot of acquaintances and friends. I have a new motto. I'm only going to be making friends with young people anymore. I'm getting sick to death of losing old friends, you know.
Man, beautiful.